up here, and we're live. Amazing.
All right. Yes, we are live indeed. How's everyone doing out there?
How is everyone doing out there?
Maybe a little somber night. There's some bad news here in the U.S., so if you've been following the news, you might be a little down. So we won't be overly cheerful this evening, but we do want to make sure that we carry through with our live broadcast here. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza Immigration Law. And we come to you every Wednesday night from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock to give you immigration updates. And we also like to answer your questions. As a matter of fact, that's mostly what we do, is answer your questions. I do want to let you know that in doing so, we are not providing legal advice. What we do here is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not legal advice. And we are on Facebook Live, but we also are on TikTok. So I want to say hello
TikTok friends
to all of you out there in the TikTok world. Our office is located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which is on the east coast of the United States, but we have clients all over the country and indeed all over the world. So it's pretty cool, especially on TikTok. I know a lot of people join us from all over the place.
Yeah.
They tell us where they are. So if you're joining us from somewhere far away or near, either way, let us know. All right.
Yes. And thank you all for always showing up and bringing us your questions.
Okay, so before we get into the questions, we did want to touch again on something we talked about last week, which was some of the new naturalization rules. I talked last week, and Radlin did as well, about some sort of they are stricter in a way, broader in a way, more subjective in a way, more holistic is what they're calling it. But essentially what they're doing is changing the naturalization analysis to not just include the absence of certain bad things, but also to include the presence of certain positive qualities. And they talked about, not owing back taxes and not owing child support and showing that you're an upstanding member of the community and that you're active at work and your church and this kind of thing. They didn't say church specifically, but they said places of worship. In any event, Radlin, you want to talk about a little bit more about this now, because there's also now a new wrinkle that's been added to this whole new approach.
Well, there's a USCIS policy memorandum, and it stated that they are going to start doing neighborhood checks. So USCIS officials, officers are going to be going out into neighborhoods and talking to your neighbors if you are applying for U.S. citizenship. And what they're going to do with that information, I am assuming, is they're going to either add to the positive column or add to the negative column. So this is very interesting. My understanding is that just from reading and doing some research, is that this was something that USCIS used to do with N-400 applications and other applications fairly routinely, and it was the practice was stopped in around 1991, just because the reason given was it took a lot of work. Of course, it took a lot of hours. It took a lot of labor hours to go out into the field and ask these questions. And then in the end, it didn't provide that much more information. And, again, lots of subjectivity. If an officer talks to your neighbor that maybe you don't get along with, you're going to say maybe some bad things about you, and you're applying for U.S. citizenship. You don't have any criminal record history. You've always paid your taxes. You've always supported your dependents. You have nothing negative, but you're maybe not known by your neighbors, or a neighbor that they ask doesn't really like you and has bad things to say about you. So that presumably would go into the negative column and part of the whole holistic approach. But it's very interesting that a neighborhood checking up on an applicant and going into the neighborhood is a tactic that is being used. I think that it is definitely going to cause a chilling effect on people who hear this, who again may not even want, USCIS to be sharing their business to other neighbors, that if it comes out that, oh yeah, your neighbor is filing for US citizenship, or I'm not sure what the questioning would be like. John and I have been questioned by former, retired officials of like the FBI and law enforcement when someone has given them, someone who's applying for a position in the government is, put us down as a reference, and they come and they talk to us, and it's usually about a 20-minute interview. And I can see why that would be the case. It's an employer in the government who's checking references, but here I'm just not sure what that would look like. But the bottom line is that, you have to be really vigilant in making sure that your application for naturalization is airtight, right? It has to be, you have to be ready. You have to be ready for these questions. And when you file your application, you are now going to be needing to put in things that, put you in a positive light, right? Should you put in there a letter from your employer? Should you include a letter from, a pastor or, another religious member of the community to talk about the things that you've done? Have you volunteered at your school? Do you go to PTA meetings? I mean, the examples are numerous of what you could submit. And again, we're watching this and we're going to see how it plays out, but it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, this is sort of similar to, I don't know if any of you, like, I've had to have, background checks done to get a security clearance. There have been federal cases through the years that I've worked on that required that I have a security clearance. If any of you are in the military or work in the government in some capacity, you're probably familiar with this. And it's kind of along those lines where they're going to be checking. And, we're immigration lawyers, so it might seem self-serving to say this, but the reality is now more than ever, you really, really should be working with an attorney if you're going through a citizenship process or any immigration process, because the rules are changing rapidly, and there's more and more burden being put on the petitioner, the person who's applying for these things, to, again, like, this is a perfect example. It's no longer just, oh, I can show that I don't have any criminal charges in the last 5 years, and and I have never, whatever. Now you're going to have to affirmatively show some positive things, and an attorney is really going to be able to help you get all of that organized, know what kinds of things will be relevant, what kinds of things will not be relevant, what things will be helpful, what things may not be helpful. There may be things that you think are going to be helpful that we would immediately recognize will be not helpful or maybe even harmful. So even if it's not us, you definitely should be consulting with a professional before you're moving forward with these cases, is my advice.
And consulting with us, and also letting us file that application for you, and making sure that whatever is asked for is included in there. And as John mentioned, just making sure that things that you might think would be good for the case are not included in there, that we don't believe, based on our experience, should be included. So anyhow, our number is on the screen. On TikTok, you can check into our bio, and our contact information is there. We would love to help you file your U.S. citizenship. It's one of the most rewarding things, is to see our clients become U.S. citizens, especially if we have helped them from the very beginning. So it's very cool. And this is supposed to cause a chilling effect, maybe that's a tactic, right? But not for you guys, right? Because you come here, you watch us, that we've been saying the time to apply for U.S. citizenship, even with all these things that are happening right now, is right now. And those of you who are lawful permanent residents, you've been lawful permanent residents for 4 years and 9 months. Those of you who are filing based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, married to them for at least 3 years, this U.S. citizen has been a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years, you've been living with a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years, you can file 2 years and 9 months from the time because it's only going to, I believe, in the next few years, it's only going to get tougher. There's going to be another requirement. There could be a fee increase. And you got to get on it. Get on, file your N-400. If you have been procrastinating, you might be thinking, gosh, I'm going to wait 3 more years or 3.5 years after this administration is done and over with. But it could be more of the same. You don't know. Maybe Trump becomes president again.
I keep reminding everyone that, just because Trump can't run again doesn't mean that his policies won't continue, because, we have no idea who will win the next election. So, Ravlin is right. If you're sitting on it waiting, that's a bad move. It's just going to be changing. And you want to make sure that you have somebody who knows what the rules are and what the game is that's being played at any given moment. And that's how you win, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. That's how you win, is that you find somebody who knows the rules, and then you're in good hands. All right.
Okay, Frank said we froze, so. So apologize about that. I'm not sure what's happening. Does everyone hear us on TikTok? If you can't hear us, then let us know.
Yeah,
we've got a little internet situation here.
We got a nice connection here.
Yep, we've got a good strong connection. I'm not sure what's happening on Facebook, but Frank asked, how long does it take for a motion to vacate, and how hard it is to win? So that sounds like more of a criminal defense question, right? A motion to vacate, criminal charge. So
I'm not sure exactly what you mean by a motion to vacate. Are we talking about a conviction? Are you talking about an expungement? Is that what you mean? If that's what you're talking, is that what you think it is?
I think it is. Frank, you can put a couple more comments in if you want us to be able to answer.
Yeah, let us know. I'm going to assume just for the moment that you're talking about an expungement. Maybe you have a conviction and you want to have it expunged from your record and sealed, and you think that that'll be helpful for whatever reason that you think it is. This varies from state to state, because unlike immigration law, which is federal, and so it's the same no matter what state you're in, criminal law is not federal. Well, I mean, some of it is, but some of it is state. And if you have state charges, then it's going to depend on what state you're in, because every state is going to have a different expungement statute. So what we do in Virginia is going to be different than what they do in Iowa, unless, of course, it is a federal criminal conviction, in which case you're going to be dealing with federal law. If it's a federal conviction, an expungement is going to be, I wouldn't even, it's, you're going to need a Hail Mary for that one. Okay. Yeah. If it's a state conviction, you may not need a Hail Mary, but you're still going to need a lot, because at least in Virginia, for example, to have something expunged here, you have to show that it was dismissed on the merits, not that it was dismissed pursuant to some sort of a deferred action or a period of good behavior or payment of fines or court costs or anger management counseling or drug counseling or anything like that. You're going to have to show that the case was dismissed on the merits, and therefore you want it expunged from your record. In other words, that you won the case. And what you don't like is that it's showing up that you're arrested, charged, and went to trial. And even though it shows that you won, a lot of people are like, I just don't want that on my record. I don't want it to show that I was ever charged with this. Yeah. That you can get expunged. Otherwise, it's a really hard road to go. And so good luck if that's what you're trying to do.
We do have I believe, a broken connection with Facebook. That's unfortunate. But we have a bunch of questions from TikTok. So we still are connected to YouTube and Twitter, I believe, but Facebook is disconnected.
Okay.
All right. So let's grab some questions.
Grab some questions from
From
TikTok. TikTok, y'all are you are no longer sharing the stage. You are center stage right now. So Usman wants to know, will an arrest with a dismissed withdrawn charges cause any issue with N400?
So an arrest with dismissed withdrawn charges, that's a really good question. It should not cause an issue if there was no deferred finding or any type of finding of guilt or any plea of guilt, and it remains not a conviction for immigration purposes. So we have convictions, and then we have charges that were then later dismissed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those may still be convictions for immigration purposes. But if you're saying that this charge was dismissed, charges were withdrawn, all good, you weren't convicted, then no, it should not be an issue for filing for citizenship. However, Usman, you got to be super careful here, and you need to put it on your application still. And this is for everyone who's filing the N400. You've got to put every single thing, even if you think it's irrelevant, even if you don't want to put it on your application, you have to put it on your N400 application, and including traffic tickets. Yes, read the instructions. You should need to include your infractions. That's one of the questions on the N400. Have you ever received an infraction? That's a ticket. So that is our $1 million recommendation. Our $1 million tip for you, Usman, is yes, you probably should be okay. Again, this is not legal advice. I don't know what you were charged with. I haven't seen the certified disposition that this was dismissed or this was withdrawn. I'm going by what you're saying, right? But you, as a layperson, maybe you're reading it incorrectly, and by no means am I taking anything away from you or saying that I'm smarter than you, right? You probably know a lot of things that I don't know too much about, but have us take a look at that and have us file your N400, right? This is the last step in your immigration journey. And this is not just for you. This is for everyone who's listening and thinking about filing for US citizenship. This is the last step in your immigration journey. Why leave it to chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Usman,
So true.
I'm glad that the arrest was withdrawn, but we need to trust and verify that information.
I'm gonna agree with that assessment entirely, and just add to it that, well, not add to it, but just emphasize that it really does make a difference. You know, when you say dismissed, withdrawn, be really careful. If it was dismissed because you did something, you know, the facts were sufficient for a conviction, but you did anger management classes and that's why it was dropped or dismissed. That's a very different story than you showed up on your trial date and the prosecutor made a motion to withdraw the charge because they just decided they didn't have sufficient evidence or that they felt like something was defective with the case. And that's what's called a null pros in Virginia, meaning not prosecuted. It's literally you never were prosecuted. You were charged, but the charge was withdrawn before you even entered a plea.
Yep.
And here's a little $1 billion bit of advice, trick, whatever you want to call it. If you have a charge and you have a criminal defense lawyer and they don't know a whole lot about what the immigration consequences might be for these things, and the prosecutor in your case is planning on dropping a charge, you may want to have your criminal defense lawyer specifically ask for you to be allowed to enter a not guilty plea and then have the charge dismissed.
Right.
Okay. Because if you have a not guilty plea and jeopardy attaches and then it's dismissed, then you're into that expungement category automatically. All right. Where you enter a not guilty plea. And I should have added that earlier. I'm sorry for those. That's the other piece that was missing for the expungement, that you enter a not guilty plea.
Yep.
In addition to being found not guilty and it being dismissed on the merits. Okay. Okay.
Next question.
Hello. How soon can I apply for my passport after my oath ceremony?
You can go right to the passport agency and apply for your passport. Congratulations. You have to bring your certificate of naturalization, but you can go right immediately to the post office or the clerk's office and apply for your passport. Now, you will have to give up your brand new certificate of naturalization, your original, but don't worry, they will get it back to you. And they send it regular mail. They don't even they don't track it back or anything. It's always a concern.
It's the government. They're like, this is our mail, though. Like this is our mail.
This is our
we
mail.
we do this in house.
Yeah, this is what we do. But I'm always surprised that they send the U.S. passport back in just a little brown envelope and with regular, first class mail, no tracking. But you will get it back. You will get it back.
Yeah, like 3 Ella Fitzgerald stamps on it with just a.
I think it is. It is like out of the computer at least.
Okay. Next up here, Epsom Salt says, Attorney Radlin, hi.
Hi. How are you?
All right. That's a good handle there. Epsom Salt. Nice.
Epsom Salt.
Epsom Salt must be an athlete.
I love Epsom Salt.
Let us know. Are you an athlete, Epsom Salt? You must be. All right.
It's a really good salt.
And Bucky Mame says, hello. Hello back. Thank you. And then says, I have a temporary 551 pending I-751. Can I travel?
I have a temporary I-551 pending I-751. Can I travel? Okay. So she has a temporary I-551 stamp and she has a pending I-751. She's filed the petition to remove the conditions on lawful permanent residency. Question is, can you travel? Yes, you can travel. And you can travel if you do the, 100-point Gardner and Mendoza test of can you travel as a lawful permanent resident. I'm just kidding. It's not a 100-point, but let's just go over it really quickly. So, what's the person's name? Mbaki?
Mm-hmm.
Mbaki. Okay. So let's start with the question. The question is, I've got this I-751 that I filed. My follow-up questions are you still married and living with your U.S. citizen spouse or your permanent resident spouse? If you're not, why not? There could be a situation there where you are going to be asked this question. This is not just for Mbaki. She or he, they have the 751, but guess what, guys? People who have pending I-751s, they sometimes separate during that process, right? Because it's a long process to file the I-751. Marriages here in the United States, many of them don't last forever. Till death do us part. It's, that doesn't always happen. So if you're not living with your spouse who filed the I-751 with you, then that might come up when you're coming back into the United States. So just be aware of that. And the other 10 things or 100 things that you should ask yourself, it's not really 100. It is, again, do you have a criminal record? Even though you have an I-751 filed, look at your whole history. Do you have a criminal record? Have you been arrested? Have you been charged? Have you been convicted? Do you have the certified dispositions to show how those were resolved? Is that conviction going to prevent you from coming back into the United States? Is it going to make you inadmissible? Are you a person who has, in the eyes of Customs and Border Protection, ICE and USCIS, have you abandoned your green card? Have you been outside of the United States for more than 180 days or really more than a year without you've never resolved that, right? So sometime in your past, you've been outside of the United States for more than a year or a couple of years, and you're back, and then you're leaving again, and you're trying to come back. That negative travel history where you've stayed out for more than a year, it may come back to haunt you on your next entry in. So that's another question. The third question is, are you a person who has marijuana convictions or admitted to marijuana use? So that's a dangerous area for permanent residents because you are inadmissible for marijuana use, anything less than 30 grams, one time use, anything less than 30 grams. So got to be careful with that. Is there any fraud in your immigration history? And this is kind of a catch-all, right? So is there anything where, you know that you committed fraud when you got your green card? And is that something that can come up when you travel back into the United States? So this is a lot. I've gone through these questions with many people who we consult with, and they want to travel, they want to apply for U.S. citizenship, and but specifically with the travel, that last one, the fraud, right? It that can really get you. So be careful with that. You may think that U.S. the government doesn't know or will not know, and it's depending on what it is. And it can be something like, you actually got married, but you came into the United States as an unmarried son or daughter of a lawful permanent resident, right? That's common. And then you apply for your family members, and then it gets denied because of the way that you came in. So that negative record is there. And so that's something that could come back to haunt you if you're coming back into the United States from the travel. So there's a lot to think about. And I'm not trying to scare anybody about traveling. I just want you to be smart. We just want you to make that mental, write it down. Like, I'm good here. I'm good here. The vast majority of you are going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. They're not even going to ask you more than 2 questions, and they're going to say, welcome back home, and it'll be fine. But some of you, and you know who you already are, you may have some issues that I would think twice about traveling. I would hate for you to get stuck outside of the country, away from your family, your job, and your home.
Yeah, a couple months ago, this is all we were getting were travel questions because there was just a lot going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, Radlin's right. Just, you really need to be careful. Just, if you're going to travel, you want to travel, and there's something a little wonky back there, I would definitely consult with somebody about it. If not us, somebody for sure. Okay.
For sure. Yeah. And again, this does not apply to most people. It doesn't apply to most people. Most of our clients they don't have this issue. They don't have any. They're good. They're good to go to travel. It's just, you hear about the ones where there's an issue, and we don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah. So. Criminal convictions are an example. There are several things that will not make you removable from the country, but will make you inadmissible.
Yeah.
And so as long as you're here, you're fine. But when you leave and now you're coming back in and you're knocking on the door to come back in, you can't get back in. And you don't want that to happen.
Yep.
Okay. This isn't really a question, but hello, I'm a citizen and my husband lives in Kabul, and the Pakistani government won't give him a visa.
Yeah. So probably trying to.
Another part. I changed his location because there's no embassy in Kabul.
To say, right. So it sounds like the government won't give him a visa to go to his interview. Is that what the case is? I would, if that's the case, give us a call, or, we may be able to help you with that. Yeah. And you can also think about contacting your congressperson in the jurisdiction where you live and getting assistance with it. So, your congressperson, they work for you. Immigration is one of the areas where they can assist and help, and they work for you. So don't hesitate to pick that phone up or submit that online inquiry and say, hey, I'm having some trouble with getting a visa. And so that's dealing with like the Pakistani government. That's going to be a little bit outside of their sphere of influence, but there could be another way as far as getting your husband to a place where he needs to get his visa interview so he can immigrate to the United States. But just for all of you all, if your case is stuck and it's been sitting there, you may want to, again, contact your congressperson and ask for assistance. That's one of their jobs, is to help you with that.
Yes, they said they're telling you it has to be in Pakistan.
Yeah.
But yeah, reach out to your guy. Real quick, show of hands. Raise your hands if you pay taxes. Okay. Yeah. We both have our hands up. We have our clients tell us all the time, oh, I pay my taxes. I'm a good person. I pay my taxes. That's right. You pay your taxes. And so guess what? Your representatives work for you. And so Radlin's right. Reach out to their office and say, hey, I'm one of your constituents. You don't say you work for me. That's not the best way to start the conversation. But
John would say that.
but tell them what's going on, and hopefully they can maybe help you or put you in touch with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. John and I, we went to a really wonderful event for small business, and it was put on by, chambers, Filipino Chamber of Commerce, other, small business organizations, but one person who came, and several people from the Commonwealth of Virginia, was the Secretary of Commerce, Juan Pablo Segura. And he said that multiple times. He's like, we work for you.
Mhm.
We work for you. We're here for you. And it was a really good reminder that, number one, there are resources out there that you don't know about necessarily. And this was in the context of small business and small business loans and small business assistance and business plans and writing business plans. And we were one of the exhibitors there. And but it happens all across the board, and certainly with your congressperson.
Yeah, we were talking to him afterward, and that's what he was saying to me as well in Radlin, that people just don't. They complain about the government all the time. I mean, I've done my share of it as well. He said, but at the same time, people don't ever reach out and ask them for anything, and so
Yeah.
you got to remember that they are there. This was an event involving our state government here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but immigration, of course, is federal. You got a federal issue. Hopefully somebody can help you. I would start there. Start with your congressperson and see if they can point you in the right direction. Okay. Lizzie here. And we may be back on because I've seen some.
Well, we are for YouTube.
Gotcha.
But not on Facebook.
Okay, Lizzie the Lab says, hello, I'm a green card holder, not yet married. Can my U.S. citizen husband petition my daughter in the Philippines? I'm a little confused. Not yet married. Can my U.S. citizen husband? You mean like when you get married?
Hello, green card holder, not yet married. Can my U.S. citizen husband petition for my daughter in the Philippines? Okay, so if you're, is the daughter not married?
No, the U.S. citizen, the husband is a U.S. citizen. I thought she was saying she's not yet married and then saying she has a husband. I get it.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Help me understand the question.
She's a green card holder.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And can her U.S. citizen husband petition her daughter if they get married?
Okay.
Or when they.
Oh, I see. Got it. Got it.
The way the question was,
yes,
it had two different.
Right.
Two different ways.
Because we're always like, they're going to get married and somebody's going to get the green card. Got it. So, your U.S. citizen spouse can petition for your daughter if you all get married before your daughter turns.
Sorry to interrupt.
18.
In the second part of her question, I just scrolled down, is will it be faster if I wait to become a citizen and petition her?
Yeah. So
they're planning to get married this year.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I don't know how old your daughter is. If your daughter is under the age of 18 and then the two of you get married, then your U.S. citizen spouse can petition for her. But if she's over 18, no, your U.S. citizen future spouse will not be able to petition. If your daughter is over, unmarried period, then you can petition for your daughter. So depending on how old she is, the question is it going to be faster? Look, give us a call because we need to take a look at these ages, right? We need to take a look at the ages. We need to take a look at the visa bulletin and what's the best route. But if your daughter is over the age of 18, many people believe that they need to wait until they become a U.S. citizen before they can petition for their children over the age of 18, or period, or okay, you know, is it going to be faster? Okay, I know I can petition my daughter as a lawful permanent resident, but if I wait the 3 to 4 years to become a US citizen, is it going to be faster? It ultimately might put you in a faster category on the visa bulletin. However, you got to file that petition, because the petition itself takes several years for USCIS to approve that petition, depending on your category. So what you want to do is file your I-130 petition for your daughter. Again, I don't know what your situation is, but generally speaking, for people who want to wait, file it and let that I-130 petition, you know, get in the, like, get processing, right? Get in the queue, so you get your priority date. And then when it's time for you to become a US citizen, then go ahead and apply, then become a US citizen. And your I-130 petition that you filed as a permanent resident several years ago, you are going to be able to retain that priority date when you become a US citizen. And depending on the visa bulletin, you might be able to switch back and forth because of the Child Status Protection Act. So there's a lot going on there, and we would need to know the all the dates, you know, the date, the age of your child. We know that you're from the Philippines, and you know, people waste time because they don't file that I-130 petition, not knowing that that petition is going to take 3-4 years to get approved, whether you're a citizen or whether you're you know, a permanent resident. So get that filed, give us a call.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law is here.
Yeah, Georgia Gardner
Hello.
here says, see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Mama.
We're excited.
I love it.
Yes, we are driving to Chicago in the next couple of days, making a pit stop to see John's mom
At an undisclosed location.
at an undisclosed location
in northern Ohio, where I'm from, was born and raised.
And we're gonna break the drive up a little bit. So we're very excited. So for all of our Chicago folks out there, put in the chat, like, what's the best place? What's the best restaurant we should go to?
Yeah, where should we be eating? That's the most important thing to us.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Sra Vibes with Mishi wants to know, my brother, a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
My brother, who's a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
Fathered a baby in Colombia.
Okay.
How can he register the baby as a citizen?
So that would be the consular report of birth abroad for a child born to a U.S. citizen. And there are several things that he has to do, primarily show his residence here in the United States prior to the child's birth. But we can certainly help with that. It can be done. So what you should do is have your brother give us a call. Brother from Colombia, and we have been to Colombia, Cartagena, beautiful country. And we should have visited Medellin many years ago, but we did not. But next time we go, we're going to go to Medellin. So our phone number at the office is 757-464-9224. And you can click on the link in my bio in TikTok and send us a message, and we can make an appointment for your brother so we can help your brother with his newborn son. Congratulations to him help him with the CRBA.
Okay. Cool. Next question. And you know what? We're 38 minutes in. I'm just going to very briefly reintroduce us. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza.
Cheers, guys.
And we are the immigration law firm, Gardner and Mendoza Immigration Law. We are located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, on the East Coast of the United States, Middle Atlantic states. That's where we are. These are called the Middle Atlantic states.
Middle Atlantic states.
If you don't know. Okay. Anyway, on our contact info, our phone number is 757-464-9224, or you can reach out, emails info@gmlaw.net.
And we are located in Virginia Beach. That's where our office is. But we can represent you no matter where you are in the United States and in the world if you need immigration help, because immigration law is federal.
We have clients everywhere. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. That's one of the reasons we like for people to tell us where they're from, because Many of these places, we have clients that are from there, and many of these places we have visited because we love to travel. Okay. Ed Lewitt wants to know, should I apply for citizenship or renew? I have a 10-year green card, but expires in 2027.
Who asked this question?
Ed Lewitt.
Ed Lewitt. Are you eligible for U.S. citizenship? You're asking the question. You probably are.
Do you want to be a citizen?
I think you should apply for U.S. citizenship, even if you don't want to be a citizen.
She's so practical.
Well, I'm so practical, like, yes, you ready to take the oath of allegiance? You're a person of good moral character, and we have to go through a whole bunch of things. And it is a very long application, and the process right now is fairly short. So how old are you? Are you young like us? I mean, are you going to renew your green card every 10 years for the next 50 years? Do you want to do that? Do you want to renew your green card 5 times, or do you want to become a U.S. citizen of the United States and not have to worry about doing that? And renewing is a nuisance, but it's minor compared to some of the things that could happen, right? So, sometimes our clients, they want to move back to their country when they get a little bit older. So they're 75 years old and they want to move back to their country, but they have their children here and their grandchildren. So if they're permanent residents, they're not going to be able to be outside of the United States for as long as they want, because they have to kind of come back and forth. Then you have the issue of, are you actually living in the United States, or did you abandon it? Or are you actually living in your country? Let's just say the Philippines. So that's something that I think that people don't think about. And also the fact that, if you want to leave the country, if you want to leave the United States, you want to be able to come back in very easily to see your family members. But the other thing is that sometimes, a couple things, right? Number one, sometimes good people do bad things or things that they shouldn't have done, and they find themselves in a situation where they have committed a crime that can make them deportable, removable from the United States as a lawful permanent resident. And number two, sometimes people get wrongfully accused and found guilty of committing a crime that they didn't do. So either way, either scenario, as a permanent resident, you could be removed from the United States. As a U.S. citizen, you would not be able to be deported from the United States if you committed a crime or if you were wrongly convicted of committing a crime. So those are my 2 top reasons to become U.S. citizens. And the reason is because early on in our careers, we just saw some terrible things, and families get split up because these types of things happened. And so I would not want to see that again. It was, it was very messy. It was heartbreaking. And if it was heartbreaking to us, and it wasn't even our family members or friends that were affected, they were our clients. Imagine it being your family and you being on the other end of that, or, having your kids to not have their mom or their dad. So that is the reason why. And sometimes, again, some people don't want to apply for U.S. citizenship, mostly because it's procrastination. It's the filing fee. It's usually not because, no, I don't want to become a U.S. citizen. Life is busy. We're busy people. And, take the time to do it. You're asking the question. So I'm giving you straight up, because you asked the question, you should apply for U.S. citizenship.
Yeah.
And call us.
It's a great country. You won't regret it. All right. And Radlin's right. Joking aside, a lot of people are just afraid because they, it's like when something is working and you're just like, you should upgrade it. And you're like, but why mess with it? Like, it's working, everything's fine right now. I'm just going about my life. Everything's cool.
Yeah.
I can't vote. I get it. I can't sit on a jury. Darn. And you just don't want to mess with it. And you're afraid that if you get into it and they open up the can and they look under the stone, they might find something that's going to cause a problem. And I always tell people, that's why you call us. That's exactly why you contact us, because if we analyze your case and you're one of our clients, and we decide that it's not going to be a good fit for you, it's going to be a bad move for you to naturalize, then we're going to let you know. And you don't have to do anything if that's the case.
Yep.
It's kind of like in a trial. If you discover evidence that doesn't help you, you don't have to produce it. You just can toss it in the trash can. Nobody says you have to produce bad evidence. Okay. Dino wants to know, is it hard to get a work permit to work in the U.S. as an HVAC technician?
So, HVAC technician, that is going to fall outside of, an H-1B, and H-1B is hard to get anyway, but because of the lottery. So most likely you are going to be filing your employer is going to be filing a labor certification for you. And it's not that it's hard, it's very technical. Well, I mean, it is hard from your point of view, right? It's a long process. From your employer's point of view, it's pain. They have to advertise the position and see if there are any U.S. willing workers that are available. They have to do these, make sure the recruitment is clean in the sense that anyone who applies for this job, they interview. And if they don't come to the interview, they send a certified letter and, oh, U.S. American worker, you didn't appear for your interview. We're giving you another chance because we don't have to say all this, but so it is a lot for the employer to do. But in the end of that process, in the end of the 3-year process or so, you will be a lawful permanent resident of the United States and working for this company, and they will hopefully have a loyal employee. And so it can be a long road. If you think 3 years is long, I don't think 3 years is long, but it would grant you permanent residency for you, your spouse, and any children under the age of 21. So.
Yeah, and I should mention here that I'm glad this question came because, most of the questions that we get here on Wednesday nights, quite frankly, are dealing with family immigration, spouses, siblings, children, that kind of thing. But we do business immigration as well.
Yep.
We have a great team at our law firm, and they all, specialize in different things. Our managing attorney is very well versed in business immigration. So if that's what you're looking for, we can absolutely help you. If you're a business owner and you're trying to have get employees here or something similar, any kind of business, like Radlin said, H-1B visas, that kind of thing, please give us a call. We can absolutely help you with that.
Yeah, and Desiree, thanks for the being the number 2 gifter badge and following us tonight. And for all of you, please follow us. We come here live every Wednesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to answer your immigration questions and give you immigration updates. And we do it on TikTok, and we also do it on YouTube and Facebook. Our Facebook got cut off this evening, unfortunately, but we are still here with YouTube and TikTok. So
yeah. So speaking of Desiree, who's a big baby, she said it, not me. That's her. Desiree Marie, big baby, says, how long should we expect to hear something back from the BIA after we appealed a bond hearing?
I don't know. So we do not do removal work, and I'm not sure. I apologize. I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, for those of you who are not familiar, there's a whole area of immigration law that's removal work. These are folks that are being put in removal proceedings, and that is one area of immigration that we do not handle. And so, Desiree, if you're looking for help with that, please give us a call because we still have a network of attorneys that we work with.
Yep.
We can absolutely, maybe partly depending on where you are, refer you to an immigration attorney who specializes in deportation work, removal work, and that would include appealing a bond hearing or a bond determination. All right. Okay. William Jr. wants to know, can you renew a residency card a year before, or does it have to be 6 months?
Yeah, I don't think it can be any sooner than 180 days. I don't know that for sure though, but we're often doing it no sooner than 180 days out. So that must have come from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Panaboy wants to know
Just
if you are related to Hector Elizondo.
am I am I related to Hector Elizondo? Maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm related to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, there's 6
Are
degrees
they?
of separation and all that stuff.
Yep.
Usman came back on later and said, yeah, it was outright
Awesome.
dismissed.
Yeah.
There was no
Good.
deferred action. So that's good. That's better, Usman. Good. Poop Pop wants to know, in Georgia and Texas, moving violations are misdemeanors, even below $500. Does one need to disclose in the I-485?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. If we have said anything, guys, you have to be. It's a direct question. I mean,
Yep.
it's a question on the I-45, and it's a question on the N-400, and so it may not make you inadmissible, right? So let's just use theft as an example because it's one that we work with often or have worked with.
Yeah.
Theft, if you leave theft off of your I-485, it's not a material misrepresentation because it's not something that can actually make you inadmissible depending on when it occurred. Let's just say it occurred 10 years after you arrived. So, but you're really going to make that immigration officer very annoyed and upset if you are intentionally leaving off 2 misdemeanors on your I-485 application. Number one, you have to tell the truth on the application. It's a direct question on the application. So yes, you do have to put it down. You do have to bring certified dispositions to show how it was resolved, and it should be fine. A lot of times people will leave off things on their application because they don't want the immigration officer to know. They think that it's going to negatively impact their case. They don't want the officer to think that they're a bad person. Well, those are all silly reasons to leave them off. The reason why you have to put them on is because, again, most likely they're not even going to impact your I-485 application. So you're just then now lying to an immigration officer. It's a misrepresentation, and that is the problem. So you're making a misrepresentation in order to get an immigration benefit, and maybe ultimately your I-485 gets approved, but then on your N-400, have you ever lied in order to get an immigration benefit? I mean, you might have to check yes on that, right? So just put it down.
You don't want to be the person who didn't disclose something that wasn't going to be a problem anyway.
Yeah.
But because you didn't disclose it, now you have a problem.
Right. Exactly.
And there are even situations where you're at an interview and the officers try to bail you out. Are you sure that you never were driving in Utah in 1994? And you're like, nope, wasn't me.
Yeah.
Nope, never been to Utah. They know.
Yeah.
So you may as well be honest with it because they know they're
right.
not.
And especially for N-400. I mean, you're asking about the I-485, but yes, the answer is yes. Put it on your application. And by the way, lawyer up.
Yeah, definitely.
Call us. We can help you.
Oh, Usman said, yeah, and it was also expunged. This just keeps getting better and better.
Right. Now, this is a good point, though. Usman probably asked the question because it's expunged. Like, why do I have to put an expunged conviction on my N-400 application? Everybody else tells me to leave it off of, my employment applications and everything else. You got to put it on your N-400. Expunged, any arrest, any conviction has to be on your N-400 application and the I-485. And it still counts when you're coming into the United States for inadmissibility. So it never goes away for immigration, guys.
Yeah. And Janeth 2222 says every case is different, right? Depending on the case, right? If it's drugs, it's another level. Definitely the first part, absolutely. Every case is absolutely different. That is true in not just immigration law. That's just true across the board for all legal cases. No two set of facts are ever identical. They fall into, obviously, we see patterns, lots of patterns, and we see them over and over and over again. But every case is different, and that's part of the reason that what we do here is for informational and educational purposes only, and is not legal advice, because we don't know all the details. We can't possibly know all the details of your cases just from hearing a few of these facts.
And drugs are a different level.
Yeah. Oh, and getting back to the drugs. Yeah. Yeah. Drugs are a different level. You know, when you in the immigration, I mean, they're bad in any criminal case, but they really, really become problematic in the immigration world.
Yes.
That is true.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Jaleesa wants to know, hi, what are the common questions at an interview for father and his kids applying for a green card?
For a father and his kids. So if it's based on marriage, right? And if it's a marriage, then the father may be asked questions about the relationship. And if this is consular processing and they're not in the United States, they might ask, where they're planning on living. If it's a spouse, then what is your spouse's address and what is their phone number. As far as the kids are concerned, not too much if they're minor children, not too many questions there. If it's a green card application here in the United States, they're going to run through every single one of the questions on the I-45 usually. That's so. And I would also prepare them by going over, if it's consular processing, they're abroad, going over their DS-260 answers on their applications, all of those as well. So, but the interviews are, especially consular processing, they're not too long, and they'll ask questions that are relevant to the relationship between the petitioner and the beneficiaries. Hopefully that answered your question.
All right.
All right. I believe.
Yes, we are past 9 o'clock now. We'll take one here. One last question. Mariah wanted to know if what you think the risk of deportation is with a withholding of removal, I-130 pending, no criminal history.
And that's really tough.
Yeah.
You have withholding of removal, and I think that people who have withholding removal, there is a little bit of jeopardy right now for those in withholding status, unfortunately.
This was an easier question to answer 8 months ago.
Yeah. And then you have an I-130 petition pending. Now, there was a USCIS memo that came out. There's so many memos, right? There's so many memos that come out that just take and take and take and take, and they remove the legal pathways that they say they want us all to be following. But anyway, that's a different story. So USCIS memo beginning of August stated that people who file an I-130, it doesn't give you any legal protection. Now, that is something that we always tell people. And there's not going to be any type of prosecutorial discretion with an I-130 petition, even if, and I even think that applies to those who have an I-130 petition that's approved and you're in the process of doing a provisional waiver. I think that there is a risk there. I don't know what the percentage of that risk is, but it's there. And it's just just an erosion of all of the legal pathways that are there. But I mean, they're still kind of there. We just don't know when the bottom is going to fall out on some of these processes. And so, be safe and be prepared. And when I say be prepared, I mean, make sure you have a removal attorney, you know, if you get picked up, for your family member to call that attorney in case you get picked up. Make sure you have bond money ready, right? If a bond can be posted for you, make sure you have a power of attorney. And you know, so many people here who are here in the United States, they have children, and their children are U.S. citizens. They are blended families. They may have businesses. They have jobs. They have bank accounts. They have homes that they may jointly own with their spouse. And so make sure that, you know, all of your affairs are in order for worst case scenario. And I think I mentioned last week, you know, John and I, whenever we travel, I get a little bit anxious about, you know, the stuff, the law firm, the home. You know, our kids are sometimes travel with us, sometimes they don't, but they did come with us on this big trip. And since we were going to Asia, and we were going to 2 Asian countries we've never been before, I don't know, I felt a little bit more anxious about just, I don't know, safety. I have no idea. But I told John to take the will out. And he was like, why? And I was like, well, just in case, like, anything, in case something happens, people don't need to go searching through our stuff to see, you know, where the will is. So it was just on the desk, right? So my point is, take the measures that you have to take. You are, you know, in already a risky situation, and I wish you the best of luck. I hate to even think about all the people out there who are in your situation. We talk to them all the time. It breaks my heart to have these conversations day in and day out, where you've got people who have worked at their positions. They're working directly with disabled children. They're teachers. They're restaurant workers. And it breaks my heart to hear it day in and day out. But we are doing our very best to help the community and help you all get educated, if and to the extent that you need the education and the information. But please protect yourself and make sure that, you know, you have those things like power of attorney, and you know, you're saving additional money in case you do have to come up with bond. The immigration attorney that is going to help you get that bond and in your jurisdiction, because that typically is local. And yeah, those applications, got to be careful with them.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a great live, wonderful questions. And just remember, the questions that you're asking is not only helping you, it's helping all the other people that are here and hearing them. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on and ask the questions.
Yeah, thanks for being here, folks. And remember, you can hope for the best, or you can just hire us. All right.
Take care, guys.
Thumbs up, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.